I should have known something was wrong when my daughter started bringing me green smoothies every morning. See? Melissa hadn't made me breakfast in probably 15 years. Not since she was a teenager trying to get out of being grounded. But there she was, every single morning at 7 a.m. sharp, showing up at my door in Coral Gables with some kale concoction that tasted like grass clippings mixed with hope. "Mom, you need to take care of yourself," she'd say, watching me drink it with those concerned eyes that didn't quite reach genuine. "You're not getting any younger." I'm Angela Martinez, 68 years old, retired real estate agent. And yeah, I'll admit it, I was flattered at first. After my husband Robert died 2 years ago, I'd gotten used to being alone. The silence in our old Spanish-style house felt like another person living with me. So when Melissa started showing up, when her husband Rick started calling to check in, when they invited me to Sunday dinners at their place in Penacrest, I finally they care. God, I was so stupid. It started small. Melissa mentioned I seemed forgetful. Did I remember our conversation about the property taxes? Had I paid the electric bill? She said it so sweetly, like she was just worried. And maybe I was forgetting things. I mean, grief does that to you, right? Makes you feel like you're walking through fog. So when she suggested I let her help with some of the paperwork, I said yes. When Rick offered to look over my investment accounts, just to make sure everything was in order, I handed them over like I was passing bread at dinner. The green smoothies kept coming. So did the concerned looks. So did the little comments about my memory, my health, my age. Drip, drip, drip. Like water on a stone, wearing me down so gradually I didn't even notice it was happening. Then came the day that changed everything. I was at my cardiologist's office for a routine checkup. Dr. Sarah Chen had been my doctor for 12 years. She knew my heart better than I did. After the exam, she sat down across from me with this expression I couldn't quite read. "Angela," she said carefully, "I had an interesting call yesterday. From your daughter." My stomach dropped without knowing why. She wanted to know about your cognitive state. Asked if I'd noticed any decline, any signs of dementia or Alzheimer's. She seemed very concerned about your ability to make decisions. I sat there in that exam room, the paper crinkling under me, feeling like the floor was tilting. "What did you tell her?" Dr. Chen leaned forward, her eyes sharp and clear. "I told her I couldn't discuss your medical information without your permission. And then I told her that in my professional opinion, you're as sharp as you've ever been. Your memory is fine, Angela. Better than mine, honestly." She paused. Why would she think otherwise? That's when it hit me. All those little comments, all those concerned looks. The way Melissa had started talking to me like I was a child who couldn't understand complex sentences. The way Rick had helped me reorganize my important documents and then kept them at their house for safekeeping. They were building a narrative. And I was the confused old woman in their story. I drove home in a daze. Not because I was actually confused, but because my own daughter was trying to make me think I was. You know what that does to a person? When someone you love starts gaslighting you, starts making you doubt your own mind. It's like standing on sand that's washing away beneath your feet. I pulled into my driveway and just sat there in the car, hands gripping the steering wheel. Our house, the one Robert and I bought in 1982, sat there solid and beautiful. Coral-colored stucco, terracotta roof. The bougainvillea climbing up the side that I'd planted when Melissa was just a baby. We'd raised her here, given her everything. Paid for her college, her wedding, helped with the down payment on her first house. And now she was circling like a vulture. I didn't confront her right away, I'm not that kind of person. I watch. I listen. I pay attention. So that's what I did. The next Sunday dinner, I went to their house like always. Brought my famous flan like always. Smiled and hugged my granddaughters, Sophia and Emma, like always. But this time I was paying attention differently. "Mom, did you remember to take your medications today?" Melissa asked in front of everyone. "I did? Are you sure? Because last week you said you did, but I found them still in the pillbox when I came by." I hadn't said that, and she hadn't come by. But Rick nodded sympathetically, and her mother-in-law made a soft sound of concern, and suddenly everyone at that table was looking at me like I was a problem that needed solving. I excused myself to use the bathroom. Their house was new, one of those modern places with open floor plans and too much white. On my way back, I passed Rick's office. The door was cracked open, and I could see my documents spread across his desk. The deed to my house, my investment statements, my will. My will that I hadn't asked him to review. Something cold settled in my chest. Not panic. Something sharper, clarity maybe. Or anger that was just starting to understand itself. I walked back to dinner and played my part. Asked Sophia about school. Complimented Melissa's new haircut. Let them think I was the confused old woman who didn't notice things. But I noticed everything. Over the next few weeks I started doing my own investigating. Called my bank, asked about any unusual activity. Found out that Melissa had been added to my account 6 months ago. When did I do that? I called my lawyer, Jonah Green, who'd handled Robert's estate. Asked him when we'd last updated my will. Angela, we haven't updated it since Robert passed. He said. Because apparently someone had a different version. A version where Melissa got power of attorney. A version where she can make decisions for me if I was deemed incapacitated. The thing is, I wasn't incapacitated. I was sharp as a tack. Ask Dr. Chen. Ask Jonah. Ask anyone who actually talked to me instead of talking about me. But Melissa and Rick, they had a plan, and I was starting to see exactly what it was. See, after Robert died, I inherited everything. The house in Coral Gables, worth about $2.8 million in this market. The beach condo in Key Biscayne we used to rent out. The investment accounts Robert had carefully built over 40 years. We're talking serious money. Enough money that apparently my daughter had stopped seeing me as her mother and started seeing me as a retirement plan. The green smoothies kept coming. So did the doctor's appointments she scheduled without asking me. So did the conversations about moving me into nice facility where people could take care of me. I was 68, not 98. I played tennis twice a week. I volunteered at the library. I had a better social life than Melissa did. But none of that mattered in the story they were writing. One afternoon, Melissa showed up with a man I'd never met. Introduced him as Dr. Stevens, a geriatric specialist she thought I should see. I'm not geriatric, I said. Mom. Don't be difficult. Dr. Stevens is just gonna ask you some questions. He sat in my living room, in Robert's old chair, and asked me what year it was, who the president was, could I count backwards from 100 by sevens. Basic cognitive tests. I answered everything perfectly. Watch Melissa's face fall just slightly when I did. Doctor. Stevens smiled at me kindly. You're doing great, Mrs. Martinez. Your daughter mentioned some concerns about confusion. My daughter is confused. I said. I'm fine. After he left, Melissa stayed. Sat across from me with her arms crossed. Why are you being like this? Like what? Resistant. Uncooperative. We're trying to help you. I don't need help, Melissa. I need you to stop treating me like I'm incompetent. Her face changed then. Just for a second, the sweet concerned daughter mask slipped, and I saw something else underneath. Something calculating and cold. You're not thinking clearly, Mom. That's exactly the problem. You don't even realize how bad it's gotten. She was good. I'll give her that. The way she said it, with just the right amount of sadness and worry, would have convinced anyone listening that she was the devoted daughter dealing with a difficult mother in decline. But I'd raised her. I knew all her tells. The way her left eye twitched slightly when she lied. The way she touched her necklace when she was nervous. The way she smiled without showing teeth when she was angry. She was angry that I wasn't cooperating with my own decline. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in the bed I'd shared with Robert for 43 years and stared at the ceiling. Thought about all the things we'd built together. The life we'd made. The daughter we'd loved more than anything. And I realized something that hurt worse than anything. Melissa didn't love me anymore. Maybe she never really had. Maybe I was always just a means to an end, and now that end was closer than ever. The next morning, I called Jonah Green. I need to see you, I said. Today, and I need to make some changes. I met him at his office in downtown Miami. Brought every document I could find, including the ones I'd taken photos of in Rick's office, when Melissa thought I was too confused to use my smartphone properly. Jonah spread everything out on his conference table, looked at me over his reading glasses. Angela, what exactly is happening here? So I told him, everything. The smoothies and the concerned looks and the narrative of decline they were building. The unauthorized changes to my accounts. The version of my will I never signed. The doctor's appointments and the cognitive tests and the talks about facilities. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. "You know what they're doing, right?" he said. "This is elder abuse, financial exploitation." Hearing it out loud, in legal terms, made it real in a way it hadn't been before. My own daughter was abusing me. Was exploiting me. Was planning to have declared incompetent so she could take everything. "What do?" I asked. Jonah leaned back in his chair. "We'll fight back. But Angela, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest." "Are you sure? Because once we start this, there's no going back. This will destroy your relationship with your daughter." I thought about Melissa. About the little girl who used to bring me dandelions from the yard. About the teenager who cried on my shoulder when her first boyfriend broke her heart. About the young woman I walked down the aisle just 10 years ago. Then I thought about the cold calculation in her eyes when she talked about my confusion. About the way she'd added herself to my accounts without asking. About the plans she was making for my life without including me in them. "That relationship is already destroyed," I said. "She just hasn't told me yet." So we got to work. First, Jonah helped me secure everything. We opened new bank accounts that only I controlled. We moved my investments. We updated my will, my power of attorney, my healthcare directive. Everything now went to a trust that would eventually benefit my granddaughters. But not until they were 30. Melissa got nothing. Rick got nothing. Then we documented everything. Every conversation, every green smoothie, every concerned look. Chen wrote a detailed letter about Melissa's call and her own assessment of my cognitive state. We got statements from my tennis partners, my volunteer coordinator, my neighbors. Everyone who actually interacted with me instead of just talking about me. The picture we built was clear: I was fine. And my daughter was trying to steal my life. Jonah suggested we meet with Melissa and Rick. Let them know what we knew, give them a chance to back off, or, he said, we can go nuclear. File for a restraining order. Report them to the police, make this public. I didn't want nuclear, not yet. Despite everything, she was still my daughter. So we arranged a meeting. They came to Jonah's office on a Thursday afternoon. Melissa wore a dress I'd bought her for her birthday. Rick wore his concerned son-in-law face. They sat down across from us, confused about why we'd asked them to come. Jonah slid a folder across the table. "We know what you're doing," he said simply. I watched Melissa's face. Saw the moment she understood that her plan had fallen apart. Saw the calculation, the quick mental math of whether to deny or defend or deflect. She chose denial. "I have no idea what you're talking about," she said, not even opening the folder. "Mom, what is this?" "This is me taking my life back," I said. My voice was steady. Steadier than I felt. "This is me telling you that I'm not confused, I'm not incompetent, and I'm not going to let you steal from me." Rick started to say something, but Jonah cut him off. "We have documentation of everything. The unauthorized account access. The forged power of attorney. The attempts to have Mrs. Martinez declared incompetent despite multiple medical professionals confirming she's perfectly sound. We have enough here to file criminal charges if we want to." The word criminal hit them like cold water. Melissa went pale. Rick's concerned face finally cracked. "Now wait a minute," Rick said. "We've only been trying to help." "By lying," I interrupted. "By making me think I was losing my mind. By planning to put me in a facility so you could sell my house." Melissa found her voice then. "You're being paranoid, Mom. You're confused. This is exactly what we've been worried about." Even then, even caught, she was still trying to gaslight me. Still trying to make me doubt what I knew to be true. I stood up, looked at my daughter across that conference table. "I'm not confused, Melissa. I'm disappointed, I'm heartbroken. But I'm not confused. If you sign these documents," Jonah said, sliding another folder across, "agreeing to cease all unauthorized access and to leave Mrs. Martinez alone, we'll consider this matter closed. If you don't, we file charges tomorrow morning." I left the office without waiting to see what they'd choose. Walked out into the Miami sunshine and just breathed. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. But for the first time in months, I felt like myself again. They signed the documents. Of course they did. The alternative was prison. But signing papers didn't change what had happened. Didn't erase the months of manipulation. Didn't heal the wound of knowing my own daughter had seen me as nothing more than an obstacle to money. The green smoothie stopped coming. So did the concerned calls. So did everything. Melissa sent me one email, 2 weeks after the meeting. It said, "I hope you're happy with what you've done to this family." I almost laughed. What I'd done. As if protecting myself from her theft was the real crime. I didn't respond. Months passed. The house felt emptier without the pretense of those visits, but it also felt cleaner. Honest. I started having my real friends over more. Joined a book club. Took that trip to Spain I'd been planning with Robert before he died. I lived. One Sunday. 6 months after everything fell apart, I got a call from an unknown number. Rama, Sophia, my oldest granddaughter, 16 now. "Hi, sweetheart," I said, my heart aching at her voice. "Can I come see you? Mom doesn't know I'm calling. But I miss you. And I don't understand why we don't see you anymore." I closed my eyes. This was the part that hurt most. Not losing Melissa, but losing Sophia and Emma. 2 girls who'd done nothing wrong except have the misfortune of being born to someone who valued money over love. "Of course you can come see me," I said. "Anytime." She came over that afternoon. We sat in the garden. Under the bougainvillea that had grown wild and beautiful in the months I'd been tending to myself instead of worrying about Melissa's narrative. "Mom says you're sick," Sophia said carefully. "That you weren't thinking clearly and that's why you pushed us away." I looked at this girl. This beautiful girl who was almost a woman now, and decided she deserved the truth. "I'm not sick, Sophia. I never was. Your mom was trying to take control of my life and my money. And when I stopped her, she got angry." Sophia was quiet for a long time. Then, "I kind of thought it might be something like that. She's been weird about money lately. Talking about what she's going to do when you're gone." It made me uncomfortable. Smart girl, I'd always known she was smart. "I'm sorry you're in the middle of this," I said. "I'm sorry Mom did that to you," she replied. We had tea and flan. I told her about Spain. She told me about school, about her boyfriend, about her college plans. For a few hours, it felt like family again. When she left, she hugged me tight. "I'll come back," she said. "Even if Mom says not to, you're my grandma, and you're not crazy." I stood in the doorway and watched her drive away in the little car I'd helped her buy for her 16th birthday. And I thought, this is why I fought. Not for the money. Not for the house. For this. For the truth. For the relationship with the people who actually love me, not just what I could give them. I'm 69 now. Still living in my house in Coral Gables. Still playing tennis. Still sharp as ever, thank you very much. Melissa and I don't speak. Rick sends me formal emails about the girls' achievements. Like I'm a distant relative he has to keep informed. But Sophia comes by every week. Emma started coming too. Now that she's old enough to drive. They both know the truth. They both made their choice. Here's what I learned from all this. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you most will see you as nothing but a transaction. Sometimes your own child will decide your worth is measured in dollar signs instead of memories. Sometimes the green smoothies aren't about your health at all. And when that happens, when you realize you're being circled by someone who's supposed to be in your corner, you have 2 choices. You can let them write your story, let them make you small and confused and manageable, or you can take the pen back. I took the pen back. Was it hard? God, yes. Did it hurt? More than I can say. Do I miss the daughter I thought I had? Every single day. But I don't miss the daughter I actually had. The one who saw me as a problem to be solved, a fortune to be inherited, a life to be managed and controlled and ultimately discarded. I chose myself. I chose my truth. I chose to be the sharp, capable, independent woman I actually am instead of the confused old lady Melissa needed me to be. And if you're sitting there listening to this, wondering if someone in your life is writing a story about you that isn't true, wondering if those concerned looks are really about concern at all, I want you to know something. Trust yourself. Trust your mind. Trust your instincts. Because the moment you let someone else define your reality, especially when their definition serves their purposes instead of your truth, that's the moment you lose yourself. I almost lost myself. Almost let Melissa convince me I was fading when I was actually just fine. Almost handed over everything Robert and I built because I believed the lie help might needing to surrender. But I didn't. I fought back. And yeah, it cost me my daughter. But you know what it gave me? It gave me back myself. It gave me back my dignity, my autonomy, my life. And that was worth every green smoothie I never have to drink again. My name is Angela Martinez. I'm 69 years old, my mind is sharp, my heart is healing, and my life is mine. And nobody, not even my own daughter, is going to take that away from me ever again.